We got it.
Hey, everybody. Well, that was quick, right? Um, Brenda B. Bailey here. Welcome. So, the first official interview of the year, because last week was me. We talked, I got interviewed on my co-live. Go imagine that. So welcome. We do this every week. It's at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's the Theta Healing Power Hour. So what that means is that you get to hear. I always tell people I am in the know. I know really like informative, influencing people who can give you really good information. So once again, please like this, please comment, tag somebody that you feel like will benefit from the information as we come along. And as always, you'll get some really good information, and then we'll do a little theta healing work around it at the end. So let me introduce you to my guest. So this is Donna Ashton, and she is a consultant, speaker, and online course expert. She built her freedom lifestyle business using her work less, make more formula. So she's taught hundreds of others how to create and market profitable programs that allow time for family, travel when you can do it, and have that impact on the world. So her mission is to teach you how you can easily take the process you already have and make money with the course in your business to create a freedom lifestyle. So whether you're running a full-time coaching practice, a busy agency, you're a speaker, or well, who isn't, right? Just slammed with family and life, adding digital products creates leveraged income without more work for you. Isn't that the truth? So welcome, Donna. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So just so y'all know, Donna just has a mastermind that she just got off the call with that. So she says she's in the zone. She is ready for my questions. She is on it. She has been inspired. So we're going to get started. So Donna, how did you get started with courses?
Yeah, so it was been way back in 2010 or early 2020, yeah, way back. I was homeschooling my then twins that were like in first grade. And so I didn't have a lot of extra time, but I did want to have a business, and I'd been dabbling around, and I started a homeschool business to help other moms like me who were learning how to homeschool their kids. This is way before it was like trendy to be homeschooling, but anyway,
or that it was required,
or it
but
was
go on.
required.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I started with courses. Like, I didn't know you were supposed to like work one-to-one with clients, or I didn't really know anything. I just jumped in thinking, I don't have time to do anything else. I'm going to create some courses and help my group. So I just started with courses, and it just took off, and it was great for me because I didn't have to have, phone calls with clients or work with one-to-ones and have people calling me. I just did my programs, which everything was sort of behind the scenes. And I built a lot of courses over the years, and then it just naturally people started asking me to show them how to do it, especially the moms who were in my homeschool community. They wanted to make extra money, stay home while they were homeschooling their kids. They all had different little expertise, and so I helped start them, which launched this business in 2016 for me, actually helping people officially doing it. And then I ran both businesses for about 2 years, and then I sold my homeschool business, which I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I sold it, I shouldn't tell anyone. And then I'm like, what do you mean? I created a business that I made a lot of money and was able to sell because I had products, and like everything was so like turnkey that the woman who bought it came in and was like, here are all the launches, here are all the programs, here's everything all streamlined, ready to go. And she just came in and and took over the business. And now I've been doing this full time since 2018. So that's really the long version of it. But I just love courses. I feel like I don't know of another way to really free up your time and still help people to, even more like you have unlimited amount of people that can go through your courses. You can only have so much time to work individually with people, and you can still get a really good result for people inside courses. So I'm a big advocate of training using online courses and programs.
Well, and again, she was ahead of the trend, right? So we're
Yeah.
talking to somebody who was ahead of the curve, so to speak, ahead of the trend,
Yeah.
and is so well needed now. And I think like when you're just talking to anybody, especially now that a lot of people have, kids at home going to school. I mean, luckily they don't have to prepare the curriculum, but they still have to implement it, so to speak. It's just another thing that people, especially women, have had on their plates.
Right.
And, courses can be done, and I haven't like read ahead on any of my questions, right, guys? I'm just telling you, we're just winging it here in some ways. But I think it's one of those things that you can fit it in
Yeah.
when you have time to create it. Right. So it's not like something that has to be done like at a certain time and all of that. That's what makes it really lovely and flexible. So
Yeah.
for
Very
somebody who's like
behind the
saying, I
scenes.
don't have time, sure you do.
Yeah, like I said, it was very behind the scenes. I didn't have to show up at a particular time or be here. I could work behind the scenes and then launch it out. Even if I was working after my kids went to sleep or, when they were busy playing or whatever, I had that time to do it as needed.
So if somebody's, ready to begin, designing a course, where do they start, Donna?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I get this a lot because I think that's like, where do I start? What do I do? Well, the first thing I want to say is don't just sit at home going, I have a great idea. I think I'll do a course on this. The very first place that you need to start is to make sure that what you're bringing out and what you want to create as a course, people actually want and will pay for. Because I've had a lot of people, and me included, I have learned from experience. I got a great idea, and then no one buys it. It's very disheartening, when you put all your work and energy and time into something. So before you even start the first worksheet or start creating the first module recordings or whatever, you need to make sure that what you're bringing is what people actually want and will pay for. And I call it finding the migraine problem for your clients. So if you're a health and wellness coach or you're working, in a business way, look at your people, and you may already have an inkling to what this could be. If you're working with clients already, like one-to-one, you may already say, well, my people come to me because they want to lose weight. So, then find out exactly what it is that they need help with when it comes to losing weight or making more money in their business or training their new puppy they just got for the holidays. Like, what is that thing that's the big challenge? Whatever that huge, and I call the migraine problem, not the headache problem, but the migraine problem, the thing they can't continue going on with. Like a migraine problem, you can take your Tylenol and kind of get through the day, but a migraine is going to stop you. And so we're looking for that big thing that they can't take anymore. They have to get it fixed. And then create your course as the solution to that problem instead of you just coming up with a really good idea that you think is going to be a good idea for your course. So that's what I would say is the first step. I think a lot of people, and when people come to work with me, about 90% of the time, they come with an idea, and then based on the feedback and the validation that we do, they tweak that idea. That's a very high percentage. 90% of the time, their idea is a little bit off. Sometimes it's way off, but at least there's a little bit of a little pivot that they have to do to really nail it. And that's the difference between a course that's like a sold out course and one that sort of just sells a few here and there.
Well, and I think that that's great because it's not like that people have a bad idea. It's just usually that they have to reframe it or tweak it
Yep.
just a little bit so that people understand
Yeah.
what
Many times
they're
people
offering.
don't know what they don't know. They don't always know what their problem is. They have a pain in their back. And, and is it actually, is it about posture? Is it about something else? Do they need to lose weight? Like their pain in their back is what they think the problem is, but it could actually be something else. So we have to sell them what they want and what they think they need, and then give them what they need inside, because sometimes if they knew, they would probably already have it fixed, right? So we have to kind of go with what they think they need. If you start talking about mindset and this and that, and they just need more clients, there's going to be a disconnect, and they're going to look at your course and go, oh, I don't need that. I just need more clients. They don't realize that they have to shift their mindset to get more clients. So they're not thinking about that. They just think more clients.
Right.
So
right. Oh, I totally get what you're saying.
yeah, I bet you do.
People want, right. People want to know, you know, they want to buy what they think that they need,
Yeah,
right? Because if
exactly.
it's, oh my God, it's so much what Donna just said, because if they knew what they needed, there wouldn't be a problem.
Right. They would go get it fixed.
Right, right. And most people don't know that. And
Yeah.
I think that people sometimes assume that people, just because you know it,
Right.
right? Just because you know the answer doesn't mean that everybody knows the
And
answer.
yeah,
And I
you're
think
so
that
far
that's kind
along,
of a
like you're a lot
struggle.
farther along in the process than trying to think back to where you were then, or going back to this earlier stage is hard for us. If you are your own ideal client and you work with same people, like me going back when my kids got older, thinking back to like to first grade again, when my kids were in 8th grade, is starting to get really hard. Like oh my gosh, I can barely remember what it was like to have 5-year-olds, and what was happening. So the farther away you are, the harder it is to kind of relate. So you've got to get some feedback from your people, or you're going to end up bringing something that they're not ready for or they don't get.
Well, and I feel like that, Donna, too, that some people have that flip side of the coin, so to speak, that if it's worked for you and you're having more success in whatever area that is than other people want to know what you
Yeah.
know.
Right. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I think that sometimes people go, well, I don't know if somebody would want that.
Right.
And it's like, just like what Donna was saying, people were asking me how to do that.
Show them. Yep.
And I was thinking back of when, when you were talking, I did this, like a pilot, like a beta webinar series, and had great success with it. Like, I mean, like 87% attendance over a
Wow, that's great.
16 weeks type
Yeah.
thing. And for something that was free, right? Like, I didn't know that was like, like good. Like, I didn't know it was like unheard of. And then all of a sudden people started asking me, like in my mastermind group, well, can you show me how to do a webinar? And I'm like, it wasn't about the webinar. It was about the subject.
Right.
Right. I was like, I couldn't do what Donna did because that wasn't what was going on here. Right. And so I was just like, oh no, I'm not the person to teach you how to do a webinar. But I had a ton of people asking, going, that was great success. And I'm like, well, I can teach you my technique. You can do
Yeah.
that. So yeah,
Well,
it
you
was
hit
kind of
it. You hit the right topic. You had it exactly right, that everyone who you talked about, in your community, was so intrigued and wanted to come, that that almost all of them just showed up because you had the right topic and they were super interested.
right. And again, I think that sometimes you have to have somebody help you see that, who's done it a lot.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you this quick thing. When I was about to start my new business, and it was the end of 2015, and I knew my kids had gone to school, so I was kind of getting out of the homeschooling, and I was still running that, but I love the big business and the marketing side. And even though I had made dozens of courses, I was talking to my friend and colleague and kind of coach at the time, saying, I want to start another business. I think I'm going to talk about JV marketing and how to build your list through collaborations or something. I heard silence on the other end of the phone, and I'm like, hello? And then she's like, what are you talking about? You built your entire business on courses. Why would you not teach that? I was like, oh, yeah, that's a better idea. Even though people had asked and I'd already done it, it was still, we can't see our own stuff so much that it wasn't like, I made it sound very smooth when I told my story, but the reality was, I was like, oh yeah, that's a better idea. I think I'll do that.
And sometimes that's what, and again, usually when you work with somebody like Donna, just saying, she has helped other clients with their market research, right? Like to see
Oh
what's
yes.
out there, right? So she's
100.
got a good idea on what's, she's got an idea on the pulse of what is going on, right?
Yeah, right.
So how can courses, let's see, I'm looking, sorry. So what's the, maybe we've already covered this. What's the biggest lesson that you learned from creating and selling courses for so many years?
Yeah, I think that is one of the biggest lessons, is that you have to find that piece, because I literally had, I'll just give you this little story. I had my homeschool community, which was building up very nicely. And I would do like a yearly survey at the end of the year. What are you really looking for? And they all answered. I mean, like 95% of them said they need help with their balance, like how, as moms who had like 3 kids at home, how to get the homeschooling in while they're feeding and changing diapers, and and just running the household, and having little kids running around and all of that. So I'm like, oh gosh, that's amazing. I'm going to create a course on that, and I'll be sipping margaritas on the beach. That was my thought. Like, everybody wants this, so they're all going to buy it. And so I went and created the whole course, and then I launched it out, and I sold 2. And I was actually mad. I'm like, they all told me they wanted this. So I went back, and I'd never done this, and I had never done it since, but I sent an email. I mean, I wasn't like an angry email, but it kind of was like, what happened? You guys all told me that this is what you wanted. And I basically created this course, and then no one bought it. And it was so interesting. I got so many responses back, and it was good feedback for me that though they did want it, they thought as a mom, they should be able to figure it out on their own. And because they had a small budget for their homeschool supplies and things, they didn't want to pay to get that fixed for themselves. They wanted to spend it on books and art supplies and things for their kids, and not use the budget for something they thought they could figure out, or they should figure out on their own. So another huge lesson is not creating the course until you actually pre-sell into it, which is kind of what we were saying. And that's the way I teach it now. Even if they all say this is a great idea, where the rubber hits the road is when the credit card comes out and they actually pay. So now I suggest that everyone pre-sell. And if you can sell 5 or 6, then great. Now you've got something. So I went back and just took that piece, that course, and put it inside of a bigger course that was about how to homeschool your kids, and everything was about the kids. But the very first lesson was how to structure your day to get everything done, because I knew they needed that. They had already told me. And then I just bundled it up inside something else, selling them what they want, but giving them what they need inside the course.
There you go. Another example of how that is applied, which is a great story. So how can courses leverage someone's business?
Yeah, I think there comes a point where, as you start to get more successful, if you're coaching or you're an agency or you're doing projects for people, that if you want to scale your, up, there's only so many hours for dollars that can be traded, right? You can only work so much and take on so many clients. You can up your prices, of course, and have that. But I think there comes a time, and for me, I've definitely seen it as I've gotten older. My kids are older. Like, my time is so much more valuable. Not that the money isn't good, but I look at them as almost like equal. Like, the time is,
Right.
I can't get that back. Now they're in high school, they're graduating from high school this year, they're senior. So it's very important for me that I have time to spend with them before they both go off to college. So I'm like, I have to set my business to where I have the time. I can go to the basketball games. I can be the mom that drives to the volleyball games and shows up for all of that. And I'm there when they get home from school, even if it's just for a half an hour while they have a snack. So when you get to that place where you're like, I don't know how to scale up without taking on more, that's when it's time to kind of look, when you feel you're like, okay, I'm seeing some burnout happen, or I'm seeing a very, like, oh my gosh, if I want to double my income, do I have to double my clients, or do I have to double the time that I'm working? How will I do that? And this is a good solution to add more. Now there's, you have to put the work in at the beginning, right, to create the course, but it's a one-time thing. And then you can sell it over and over and over again. And you don't even have to show up. You don't have to be saying the same thing over and over again to every client, or, just showing up for that Zoom call, or showing up for that phone call or workshop or whatever, and doing it, the delivering. You can let your course work for you, even if you're at your daughter's basketball game or you're on vacation. Like, I'm going to Key West next week, and my business is not going to stop. Like, things are in place so that I can still make money and have things running and still take time off to enjoy my life. And so that is what when I consider leverage, that, there is some work. I don't want to say it's like, you just put your course out there and you are drinking margaritas on the beach and you never have to do anything again. Unfortunately, I haven't found a way for that to work unless you really have a big list or you really have a ton of people. There's a little bit of, monitoring what's happening, but it's a lot less effort than, hours and hours of coaching or hours and hours of projects and things. It might be just taking 10 minutes to check in if your funnel's still working, or how many people you got in this week in your courses, and make sure everything's going smooth, or even have someone help you, a VA or some kind of assistant help with that. So it just gives you another form of income without you having to show up to deliver it.
Well, when you work one-on-one, even though you have them in a system, you're still taking a lot more time and energy.
Yeah.
And to be able to take that and to be able to help more people is ideal. And typically, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Donna, make more money.
Oh yeah, because you're not limited by that. And I find in the groups and the way that I teach the courses that people are worried they're not going to get the same results, or their clients aren't going to get the same results as if they're working one-to-one. But I find that the way that we're doing, the way I teach courses, with having some support involved in the course, like a monthly call or a Facebook group or bi-weekly calls, that they are still getting amazing results, and their clients are still getting the same results. And a lot of times you figure out your system, and it's a lot more concise. And working one-to-one with clients, of course, is amazing, but you can still get that same feeling, and your clients will still get the results over here. And like you said, and you're able to make more money because you just don't have to wear yourself out with all of that.
Absolutely. Well, and again, I think that when you do things like this, it makes you create systems.
Yes.
Right. And I feel like that when people have one-on-one clients, they have some, but not as much. I'm just saying, I think things are really different now, but
Yeah.
my experience has been, right, and what I've seen, and I think that that's really true. And it's like, I just, it's kind of like, I'm going to date myself. Like, when it was, that deal, like when they were like, and I'm cleaning my oven, like while they were off doing something, right? Like
Yeah.
it truly is that being able to make money while you sleep, because now even more so, people are looking online. It's their only choice, right?
Yeah. Now it's more
And
than ever
they're all over
needed.
the world. So people are awake when you're asleep, kind of thing.
Exactly. And you don't have to limit yourself to just your community or your state or your backyard. I mean, you can reach people wherever they are. And so true what you're saying, because I do have clients that come and they're like, I just don't know how what is my system? I don't think I have a system. I'm like, you do, you just don't realize it, because when you're one-to-one, you just sort of answer the questions and you don't think about that you do the same thing every time with people, because it's a little more fluid. But it's pulling that, like, they're pulling their process out and helping them identify, which really is amazing for their business, because now they know their system and they can use that in so many ways inside their business, not just for a course, but if they wanted to write a book or they wanted to take pieces of that system and kind of break it up. And there's just a lot of different things that could be done, making little mini courses. There's a lot of ways you could take that and leverage even more.
Right. And I think also too, like what I was going to say, like with that webinar that I did a couple of years ago, I'm still getting benefit from that. Like
Amazing.
it still is, like people coming around. And again, to work one-on-one with me is significantly more money,
Right.
but they've done all of the other things and are like, okay, I'm ready. And I'm like, well, that was easy. That was
We're
great.
already sold, right?
Right. Absolutely. They've already had the experience.
Yeah, like you said,
And
there are some people who just either can't afford to work with you or just not quite ready to go to that level. But if you have something on a little bit lower level, they can still get started with your process and get some results. And that many times ends up, they do come work with you after, like, oh, I love this. What else do you have? Or they just are like, great, thank you. I could have never afforded that large package, or I just don't have the time for that one-to-one coaching, but I can work, you know, at 10 o'clock at night when my kids are asleep and work through that process, like at my own convenience. So I think it is nice to have that other option for your
Right.
client.
Because I think some people do really well on their own, right? And doing, courses. And then some people take the course and realize, oh,
Yeah,
I'm not that
need more
person,
help.
or I'm not that person in this case.
Yes.
So it allows you again to be able, somebody just paid you to market to them,
Right.
essentially. Just saying, just pointing that out. If you didn't put that together, that's what just happened.
Right.
So yeah. So what is one tip that you have for someone who wants to have a course?
Well, we talked about a lot of tips. I think that my big tips are to,
Hey, write them all down, folks. So
I know.
re-listen to this. There's going to be a replay, right? So there you go.
Make sure you know what people want. That's like the biggest thing, because no amount of great marketing is going to sell something that no one wants. So if you don't start with a good topic and selling it to the right person, then the rest is just going to be an uphill battle. So you've got to get that foundation, like the actual content and your ideal students, like are you creating this course for? So really knowing and working through that. It's kind of a pain sometimes, but it's so well worth it, because then you have it, and then you don't have to try to sell so hard. Like you said, they already recognize that they have this problem and they need you. So it's a much easier sell on the back end when it's time to start marketing and start putting all of it into play to create that income, where you want to create $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month from your course. You won't have to struggle with it. It'll just flow.
And like with anything, it takes a little work up front.
Yeah,
It takes a little
it does.
planning up front.
Little
But what ends
tweaking.
up happening is like, wow. Like it was like, oh, the easy part was making the money. Right. Like
Right.
like it's like it was like the plan to get there, the behind the scenes. And that's what Donna knows. So do you have to be an expert to create an online course?
No, I actually have a podcast called You Are the Expert. And I think you just have to be one step ahead of the people that you are teaching. So, I mean, you don't have to know everything there is to know about health and wellness in order to create a course. You just have to be a little bit ahead of what you are teaching, to the people you are teaching. And this is what I did when I started my homeschool business. I was like, I don't know everything. I've only been doing it for like a short time, but here's what I already feel comfortable and can teach, So that's like where I started. And then as I got more under my belt, I was able to teach a little bit more. So I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we have done. Like if you've lost 150 pounds and you have a system that you can show other people how to do it, you don't have to be, like the expert end all be all.
You
On
don't have to be a
everything.
dietitian. You don't
You
have to be a
don't,
nutritionist.
right?
You
Like
don't
just
have to be
share
right.
what you have.
You don't
People,
have to be a board certified trainer or anything
no,
like
you
that,
don't.
because
You
people pay
don't.
for experience
They do.
and practical experience. I'm just saying,
They
this
want to
is
know you're in the trenches there and you've done it recently, and you can show them and they like your way. And so that's what it really takes. So you don't have to go get more certifications or, degrees or all of this to write a course. I mean, you do have to have something and have some results, whether it's for you or for, like, even if it was like your sister or your friend, like you've helped them, like you've got to have some kind of results to show, right? And then that's it. You can get started and have a course, and then as you build your knowledge, you can go deeper and do more.
I always had people who say to me, Donna, because I have 13 different certifications in integrative healing, and I'll have students that come up to me and go, well, I just can't be as good as you because I don't have your background. And I said, no, you just didn't take as much work to get where I am, or you wouldn't have just show up here without having anything else. And then I don't say it that nicely, though. I'll just say that. But about myself, just kidding, because it's true. But I just was like, that doesn't, I just look good on paper. It's all good. But and I promise you, it's my, it's what I love to do, is to get people to my level or higher.
Yeah, but you didn't start there, right? You
Right.
started over here and you've worked your way up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a little work now. We covered a lot, guys. I'm telling you, even though, Don, are you originally from the Carolinas? I can't remember which one you are.
I've been here a long time. I was born in New York and then been in North Carolina, South
I
Carolina
knew
for a
she
long
was.
time.
It was so funny because she's in the South, right? But she's a fast talker, folks.
She
I was
doesn't
like, oh
sound
my
like she's
God,
from the South.
we're like strummed along right here. I was like, ooh, we've covered a lot in a short period of time.
Yeah.
I would tell you to go back and listen and re-listen. You know, I think that that's the beautiful thing I always say with the Co-Lives podcast. We have a YouTube channel, is that you can always go back and re-listen.
Yeah.
Right. So please, once again, comment, like, tag somebody who you're like, see, Donna Ashton said that you could, that you've got value in what you know.
Right.
So if you know somebody who's like that, especially because this is one of the least expensive ways to start up a company.
Yeah. And also, can I give this? It's one of the best times to launch courses the beginning of the year because everybody's ready to make changes and their New Year's resolutions. So people are looking for change and looking for things. So this is the best time.
Absolutely. And just so you know, well, you'll be like, well, it's already, January 13th. I've missed the curve. It's like,
No, you
no,
haven't missed
because
it.
what happens is that then sometimes people need to like have that first month to realize that
Yep.
they, again, can't do it on their own and they need help. And they are, not willing to go full blown into something, which is why they buy a course. This is just human nature. I know I'm preaching, right? But Donna's
No,
like,
but we can get you up and running. Like in my programs, we have you pre-selling at week like 4, so it can be really quick to kind of get things rocking and rolling.
right.
So in February, you can have your course, like you can start selling.
Right. Because people are still, I
Yeah.
think it's so funny, right? So for people who've done less as far as like having all the activities that they can physically be doing, I actually think that people are moving a little bit slower into 2021.
Well, it just
To
seems
be
like every
honest.
time we start to get the ball rolling, some other crazy thing starts to happen. So it does feel like we are moving along, but you're right. So I don't think there's going to be such a, push just like, okay, New Year's resolutions. And then, okay, we've already forgot about them. I think people are really looking for change in 2021 and looking for a more, just some guidance and ways to kind of keep things going and to make some pivots. So I agree totally.
So I always, what we always do in the Theta Healing Power Hour is that we do a little bit of Theta Healing work, right? So just a reminder, it's a very respectful modality. So you just say yes out loud and say yes in the comments below. Again, if it's the Theta Healing work that they loved and you think that, please tag, like, share people with it. Let's see, I'm saying a lot because I'm getting back into the swing of things, folks, because I didn't have to say this last week. So I'm like, oh, it's been a couple of weeks. So we're going beyond the brain, the mind that limits us. So it's your brain and your mind that's saying, oh, I don't know anything that somebody else would want to pay money for, right? It's that type of thing. And so we want to change that, but it's just a thought. And we go cellularly to change it so that your thoughts and your heart, right? So your thinking and your emotions will just follow. So it makes it very quick, makes it very easy. So whenever I work with a new client or student, and because I also teach this technique, is so what your job is now, Donna, is that you cue people to say yes. So you'll say yes out loud when they need to say it.
Okay.
That's her job right now, guys. We're just handing it over. She's like, okay, sounds easy enough. As she sits there and looks pretty in that beautiful, perfect blue color for herself, she will be doing that. So I want an instant healing. I deserve an instant healing, and an instant healing is possible. Those are the 3 that I start off with because Theta Healing works very quickly. And if people don't believe that they want, that they deserve or that it's possible to have an instant healing, then it makes my job a lot harder. It makes things work a lot slower, which again, you're with the fast talker here, Miss Donna, and me here, and we just want things quick. We can get this going here, right? And she's been a mom too, right? So it's like, you know how that is, right? Time is money.
Let's do
it quickly, right? So I want an instant healing. I deserve an instant healing, and an instant healing is possible. If you would like those, just say yes out loud and in the comments below.
Yes.
Okay. And just so you know as well, this works in the replay as well. Okay. So it's not like you have to, oh, I missed the live, so I can't, I can't get the work. Could always get the work and catching the replay. So I took a few notes while I was talking. So let's change. And I always say, when we talk about if you are obligated, right? So that means that you don't have a choice. So let's change the obligation that the only way to market or to make money is to work one-on-one.
Okay.
Right? Let's change that. And I'm going to do a list right now for you, Donna, and then we'll get it all. Let's also change what prevents us from discovering what people want and that they would be willing to pay for. Let's also change what prevents us from being the solution to their problem. Let's go ahead and do those, and then we'll do another round. So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
And maybe like you didn't understand how the process worked, or you didn't understand that you needed to do certain things. And so you may have done something like what Donna was saying. I gave them what they asked for and I only sold 2, and then asked them what happened here, right? To understand better how to market it, where to include it type thing, is that maybe you just, you need to forgive yourself, right? For the mistakes that we've made, for what we didn't understand, and or for not getting the help that we needed in order to be able to roll it out. We just have to forgive ourselves for that. So if you'd like that, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
And I say that a lot because people just don't understand that it's their non-forgiveness at times that kind of keeps them stuck, right? So you made a mistake, right? Figure out how to do it differently, get some help, or do some research so that you don't have to fear that you might do it again.
Right.
So, and then let's also change what prevents you from understanding, right? To sell them what they want, but give them what they need, like to be able to wrap our heads around that. And let's also change the obligation that to scale up means it takes more of our time, our physical time. And let's also change that the only way to double our income is to double the amount of time that we set aside for it, or take away from what we want from ourselves. So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
Nice. So that's it, right? For the theta part. And, I always tell people you can always, my information is in the post, but also what Donna has for us as well. Donna, I know that you have a quiz for them, correct?
Yes. I'm still
Tell
saying
us about
yes.
that. Yes. You're still saying yes. I'm still
still
needing
saying
your
yes.
what we need to know.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's called Create Your Course Quiz, and it will help you identify if it's time for your business to add a course. So it walks you through not just like, should I have this, should I have that, but I think there's some things in there that when you get your results, it'll kind of tell you where you are. Are you ready for one? Or maybe you're not quite there yet. So I like that. Instead of just jumping in, like take the quiz and see if it's time and what things you might need help with, because it'll identify where you are and what you need work more help with over here? Or do you understand how to do this? It'll kind of highlight those things for you. So you'll be really clear when you get the results, which they come right away after you take the quiz, kind of where you are, and if it's time for you to have your course.
So it is at createyourcoursequiz.com. The link is also included in the post for this. So you guys will be able to get it, and it's free. Again, I always say knowledge is power. So if you can get some information that helps you kind of figure out, like, is this true or not? Or maybe if you've never considered it before and you might just want to take a look at it and do it. So it's there, it's free. Why not? And Donna's in the know, so why not, right? So again, Donna, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. This has been
I
great.
just really appreciate it. Donna's got so much information, and as you can tell, she's a great gal to get it from and hear it from. And it's not anybody talking down to you. It's somebody who's been there, been in the trenches, and gets it, and is a mom,
Yep.
has children, is married. So it's not like, you're talking to some single guy who has no idea what you're going through, or
Yep.
or that she did it so you can do it, kind of thing. She's setting the example, which is always great, right? It's about integrity, folks. It's what you're going to get with Donna for sure. So, just to remind you, we always do this every week, same time, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. And next week, our guest is, let me pull it up, guys. Let me find it here. Brandy Deutsch, and we're going to be doing the critical shifts needed to trust your truth. So if you liked this, comment, share it, tag people, let them know this, especially if you've got somebody in your mind and you're thinking, oh, I keep telling them this, or they ought to do this. There's the quiz for them to take so it can be confirmed. There you go. So Donna, thank you again. Really
Thank you so
appreciate
much,
it.
Brenda. This has been amazing. So amazing. Your techniques are amazing. And thank you for letting me share.
Okay, absolutely. All right, guys, thank you. Let me get us off.